I the a-hole for refusing guardianship and questioning my dad's decision to have a kid at his age? Quick background. I am 37 female married to 37 male. We have 4 kids ranging from age 4 to 12. My dad is 65 male and on his 3rd marriage. My mom is the same age as him. His second wife is 50 and his current wife is 40. He had 2 kids during his second marriage, 17 male and 15 female. And now he has a 6-month-old. When the 15-year-old was born, my husband, fiancé at the time, and I were named in my dad's will that we would raise my siblings if the worst happened and they were orphaned. We were fine with this, and we still are fine with it. There is no doubt that if this scenario were to come to pass tomorrow, it would be extremely hard. But my siblings are now teenagers, so there would at the very least not be much physical hands-on care. Plus, the responsibility would only last technically for 3 more years. This is obviously not the case with the baby. If the worst happened tomorrow, we'd be starting all over. My husband and I agree to no more babies and have taken the necessary measures to ensure that. And with our youngest finally fully trained, we are thrilled with a diaperless future ahead of us. So, my dad told us a few weeks ago that he updated his will and naturally named us as guardians for the baby. I said he'd better change it then, because absolutely not, and outlined the reasons above. Dad didn't take it well. He said it was really unfair that I was favoring some siblings over others. I reiterated that was not the case, though I do of course have a much closer relationship with my teen siblings than with my baby sibling. He's cute and all, but I've got my own kids to focus on. My personal situation is just very different than it was 15 years ago. I told my dad to ask people on his wife's side of the family, and he doesn't want to because he doesn't feel they'd respect his wishes for raising the kid the way I would. I said I'm sorry, but I'm just not able to make this level of commitment. Then Dad started complaining that it's not fair. Due to his age, he really needs the assurance that his kid will be in good hands. So I quipped back, due to his age, he shouldn't have gone and had another kid. Dad responded that was a nasty thing to say and hung up, and things have been strained ever since. I guess I could have been a little nicer, but I do stand by what I said. I am not in a position to commit to this. And frankly, having a baby at his age was dumb, and he should have thought it through better. Am I the a-hole for my refusal to be a guardian and for sharing my thoughts on my dad's choices? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole and your dad is crazy to assume you'd still be willing/able to take on that kind of responsibility in your mid-30s with a house full of your own kids. I would really like to know if his wife was consulted on this decision at all. Like she's gotta know the odds or that she's outliving him, or he will leave her in 10 years for a younger model if he lives. So does she actually want her stepdaughter to raise her baby if her husband dies first and she dies later? Does she agree about how her family raises kids? I was actually wondering, given the track record, will he be on wife number 4 in about 10 years and will she be at 30 this time? If so, he will probably try and have another baby. Not stay home. You should have thought about this before having a child. People shouldn't feel free to dump their kids on others. The good news is that his wife is almost your age, so it's unlikely she will die before the kid reaches adulthood. I know it's unlikely, but bad things happen. That's why we make these contingencies in the first place. My husband and I have our own will that includes who will take our kids, if something happened to us, and obviously my dad is right to do so as well. I just don't want to be the one listed here. I'm also pretty sure that even if it is in his will that you all will care for the baby, you still don't have to. Like, he could really put whatever he wants in there, but it's not legally binding for you or anyone else he wants to name. Being named in the will simply means that he wants you to do it before anyone else, but you still have every right to say no if the worst does come to pass and the will comes into play. Instead of arguing about whether you're on the will or not at all, your conversation with him should really follow the lines of, Dad, you can totally name me in the will if you really want to, but you have to understand that I will say no if it comes to pass. By naming me, all it's doing is leaving this child without a real plan, and could possibly land them in foster care, / in the system instead of with family or any other person you trust. I think it would be smarter and everyone's best interest to find someone else who is already willing and name them instead. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to call my 8-year-old half-uncle uncle? So, my family is kind of a mess. What you need to know for this is that both my dad and grandpa had kids young. So I'm 15, my dad is 37, and I think grandpa's somewhere in his late 50s. Grandparents divorced when I was a kid, and 2 years later, grandpa remarried. His new wife, who's younger than my dad, brought a kid to the marriage, and suddenly had a step-uncle. Let's just call him Brian. When we first met, the kid was like 4 or something. I thought it would be funny to call him Uncle Brian because of the ridiculousness of having an uncle so much younger than me. It was a joke, but he liked it, so I kept calling him that. Couple years later, and we find out he's not my step-uncle, but my half-uncle. Grandpa apparently had a second family he managed to hide even through the divorce, and tried to pass his new wife off as someone he'd met just after separating. Cue big drama, messy fighting. I didn't see Grandpa and his new wife for more than a year. He's only just starting patching things up between the rest of our family, so I only just met Brian again. And he's become a little turd. He's needy, whiny, and throws tantrums all the time. I just try to ignore him, but his mom spoils him, so I don't think he'll get better anytime soon. None of this would be a problem except when my grandpa was trying to patch things up. He moved closer to my family, and now Brian and I go to the same school. It's a K-12, and though I don't see him during the day, we sometimes run into each other after school. I've got a club, and he's in the after-school childcare thing. When we see each other, he keeps wanting me to call him Uncle Brian, and I keep telling him no. The other day, he threw one of his tantrums at school saying I have to call him Uncle Brian. He's my uncle, and that means I have to do what he says. I told him no, I didn't, and that I'm tired of him being a whiny brat. I'm older than him, and that means he has to do what I say. He didn't listen and kept saying I have to call him uncle. We ended up making a bit of a scene, and word got back to our families, and Brian's mom said if it meant so much to him that I should just call him uncle. I said I'm not doing that. Grandpa sided with her, and my dad hasn't said anything directly, but I think he wants me to do it just to keep the peace. But it's stupid. He's a kid, and calling him Uncle Brian just because he's whining that I have to do it is demeaning, especially at school. It was a joke when he was younger, one that I chose to participate in and not something that was forced on me. But this is different. Am I the a-hole if I stand my ground on this? Not the a-hole. By the way, I can't stop laughing about this kid thinking you should call him uncle. I hope you should call him bastard uncle instead. Not the a-hole. I'm so sorry, but this is hilarious. The kid is clearly on a power trip and is used to getting what he wants. That's why I think malicious compliance is the answer. Call the kid Uncle Bastard and Mom Grandma. Not the a-hole. Why is your entire family behaving like toddlers? It's up to you how you want to handle this. Personally, I would have fun with it. Really exaggerate the uncle thing. Call him King Uncle Brian I, leader of the playground and smiter of enemies. Every single time you have to address him. But that's because I'm extremely petty, LMAO. Malicious compliance. But you are within your rights and not the a-hole for standing your ground. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not covering for my ex-husband? My ex has a long history of not showing up when he has planned to see the kids. The worst was when I had driven the kids 30 minutes across town to his place to arrive at 10 a.m. and he texted at 9:58 a.m. to cancel. He saw them 4 times since Easter last year and had one overnight visit with some of the kids as I had to take one to hospital. In mediation to write our parenting plan, he told the mediator that he didn't want the 50-50 care which I had suggested and facilitated. I was even moving out of my home so he could stay there with the kids, since he has no accommodation suitable for the kids and I was paying all the daycare costs, bills, food, rent, etc. In fact, he wanted 0% care. He shows up about 50% of the time, even when he was doing regular overnight stays with them. He forgot our eldest's graduation. Last time, he told our 9-year-old he was going to see them, and 9-year-old said, "Cool story, bro," and hung up on him. Every time he has bailed on the kids, they either didn't know that he was coming, because I don't tell them until he's definitely driving to my place, or I lied and said he was sick. I don't want them to feel rejected when he doesn't show up. The kids have unlimited access to be able to contact him, and I have helped them organize birthday presents, Christmas presents, and Father's Day presents for him. there is definitely no alienation coming from me. I want him to see the kids because he is important to them, and they love him. And his own father pretty much ignored him, and I know how much he hurts because of that, swearing to never do that to his kids. Yesterday, the 4-year-old called him on Messenger and asked him to go to the park. 4-year-old came and asked me. I replied, yes, of course. After lunch is fine. And the other kids finish school at 2:30 and would love for you to pick them up. I have moved, and he didn't have my address, so I texted it to him. At 2:20, I messaged again, asking if he was coming, and he replied that he didn't get my message, so figured I had ghosted him. After dinner, the 4-year-old didn't want to go to bed because he was waiting for his dad still. I let him call his dad and ask why he didn't show up. X was not happy that I didn't cover for him. He has asked to see the kids this weekend. I was taking them camping, but have postponed the trip so he can visit. I told all the kids that he will be coming, and they then called him, and he said that he will see them on Saturday at 10:30 a.m. If he doesn't show, he will be the one explaining why. Am I the a-hole for not continuing to cover for him? I feel that I should protect my kids, but it's been 2.5 years of this, and they will realize that I'm lying eventually, which will damage our relationship. I just wish he actually wanted to see the kids as much as they want to see him. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. I could have written this in 2018. I was killing myself and my kids by constantly covering for their dad. And if it did show, half the time he was scary. I finally decided I am never going to be a blockage to my kids, but more importantly, I stopped being a bridge. Both kids made me put this boundary up because they both, a few months apart, attempted to end themselves over what I consider the biggest mistake of my life, losing my children's trust because of their dad. Do not call him. Do not cancel for him. Do not facilitate gifts. He did not earn them, and it kills the kids when he doesn't reciprocate. I beg of you, stop. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. Not today, all OP. But if you think covering for your ex is doing your kids a favor, you are dead wrong. They will eventually get over an absent father, but the continued bailing will have worst effect and create major trust issues. Not stay home. At this point, it's probably more damaging to your kids to try and cover for their absent father. You're doing your very best, and that's really admirable. But it may be time to let things go as they will go. There's only so much you can do. Super agree. The 4-year-old staying up waiting for dad absolutely breaks my heart. Imagine being a kid and doing all these nice things for dad's birthday and Father's Day, and he can't even take the cutie to the park for an afternoon. Makes me furious. I wonder whether OP's time, energy, and financial resources would it be better spent going on that camping trip, doing fun things, and most importantly, getting those little love bugs into therapy. Dad can do, or not do, whatever he wants. Everyone sucks here. Him for just forgetting he has kids. You for postponing a camping trip for that a-hole. He ain't gonna show, you know that. So why tell him yes? You should have told him, sorry, we have plans. We went camping last weekend and will go again the week after. The trip was just to a friend's farm, and the kids are pretty tired from last week too, so they are happy to miss it. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my stepmother to wedding events and explaining to my other family why she isn't there? Ever since my dad remarried, I haven't been a huge fan of my stepmom. She's overly religious, narcissistic, and rude. For example, when I left to college, I left the church she believed in, and she flipped out about me not going. She makes assumptions that I was doing bad things and sent me rude texts about it. She has ignored me for long periods of time. My fiancé and I have moved in together about a year ago, and she flipped out. She sent rude texts to my fiancé and saying things like, I can't believe you would disrespect our family and lie to us. I didn't lie. And no, you are not welcome home again, and unfriend everyone we know on social media. She has treated my fiancé and I very unfair and poorly regarding the fact that we are not doing what she wants. And she doesn't consider the fact of how successful we both are. We are old enough to take care of ourselves. She has also purposely separated me from my family that still cares about me. She hasn't spoken to me in years. Not about birthdays, holidays, engagement, nothing. After a long talk with my dad, I agreed to invite her and my other step family to my wedding, even though I'm almost positive they all hate me. However, am I the a-hole for not including this part of my family in other events, bridal shower, etc.? Also, would I be the a-hole for informing my other caring family members why she's not invited when they ask or wonder? Not the a-hole. I wouldn't even invite her to the wedding. If she has separated you from the family, banned you from their home, and doesn't respect your relationship, then she should absolutely not be surprised to not be included in your events surrounding your wedding for a relationship she's explicitly against. And if anyone asks, you can definitely just give them the clear-cut truth of the matter. Stepmother has isolated me from the family and doesn't support our relationship. So we see no reason to include her in a celebration for something she's so against. They will ruin your wedding. If she has made awful comments for everything and anything, she will find plenty of things to say at your wedding. If she has stranded you from people you like and you never had issues with, invite them. But first have a talk with them to see if they really like you back. And I get wanting to keep a relationship with your father, but if he insisted on her being there and has never defended you or put a stop to her nonsense, he is not being a good father. I hate people using church and God to justify their awfulness. I've yet to find a religion that, if followed correctly, doesn't condemn that kind of behavior. That kind of people really like to nitpick. They love to see the mote in one's brother eye while ignoring the beam on their own. Those people are best dealt with their own medicine. Don't know what the religion is, but I am sure you can find plenty of bibliography easily that would help you describe how bad their behavior is. And if they come after you, you use that. They will get harder time to refute you. Of course, they can always go to "you are devil" nonsense. But then the burden is on them. Why are they associating with the devil? Good luck, Opie. You are not the a-hole. Uninvite her. That is my advice. Info. Why is your father allowing her to try to lay down the law for his children? Why did he not nip this in the bud the moment it started up? Does he agree? He doesn't agree, but he doesn't take any stand against her. So your father won't even step up to shield his own children from his overreaching wife. I'd say you're better off without them. Not the a-hole, and I would consider rescinding the invitation too. Not the a-hole. Your wedding, you invite who you like. But if your dad knows what's going on, why is he allowing her to get away with his behavior? Sounds like your dad married and abused her, and hopefully he'll gain some perspective and leave her. Yeah, I wish. He doesn't get it. He chooses her over me, it seems. Other than that, he's a great dad and does a lot for me. Sad.